You know what it is? It's Melanoma Monday, and we are finding out how to protect our sensitive skin against the harmful rays that can lead to deadly diseases.
That's right, and dermatologist Dr. Deborah Jalaman is here with a few tips and solutions. So welcome. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
And so now people don't realize how serious melanoma can be. I mean, I know we hear about it a lot, but it is very serious.
Very serious. I mean, in my practice, when I tell someone you have a melanoma and it's a small dot on their skin, it's hard to believe that a small dot can kill you. And every hour in the United States, somebody dies of a melanoma.
Yeah,
Wow.
I mean,
Very
it's thousands
serious.
of people a year.
Yes.
And it starts sometimes, the scary thing to me is it's a bad burn from when you were a kid that can lead to things later. But what changes in the skin should we be mindful of?
So let's say you have a spot and it starts changing, like it starts getting darker, the edges change, it becomes irregular, it starts to bleed, it starts to itch. Those are warning signs, but everybody should have a mole check once a year. And since it's Melanoma Monday, a good time to go is now before you're going to expose your skin to the sun.
A real quick follow-up. When you say changing, over what period? Like how long of a period before we see changes?
You know, you can see changes over a few weeks.
Okay.
Even a month.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, now you say it's important to pick the right sunscreen for your skin. So give us an example of what we should be looking for.
So, for example, let's say you have very oily skin like I do, then you want to pick maybe a powdered sunscreen or a lotion or even a gel. You don't want to pick a creamy, greasy sunscreen because then you may break out from that sunscreen.
Right. May I interrupt you really quickly, because I've been seeing a lot of the higher end makeup products where you can get loose SPF as a powder. That is just as effective as putting on a lotion?
It depends what you're doing. Let's say you're going to go swimming or you're going to play tennis, you don't want to use a powder.
Okay.
But if you're walking around in the city during the day, that's fine.
Okay.
Oh, so that's important too. And I think as a parent, I know some of the waterproof or water resistant things are great for kids as they're in and out of the pool, but it still has to be reapplied, but pick the sunscreen based on the activity, right?
Exactly. Pick it based on your skin type and based on the activity.
Right, so this first one that we have here, I believe it's the Australian Gold. That's a 45 SPF, which is really, I've heard anything above 30 is great. What are your thoughts on 45?
45's fine. You know, and now the FDA says a 50 plus. You can't buy a sunscreen anymore that says SPF 125. You know, like the old days. You could buy these
so
very
the
high
branding
numbers.
now is going to be 50 plus. Does
That's
that
right.
mean that paying extra money for the bigger number isn't worth it, or is
Right. But you know, the FDA says that after 50, it's very hard to test. So they just put 50 plus and that's it.
Okay, well, what about people with sensitive skin and they want to use sunscreen without chemicals?
So then you look for a sunscreen with zinc oxide or titanium dioxide, and you want the goal here is to look for the highest number. So, for example, there are sunscreens with zinc oxide that has 20% zinc oxide. That's a very high number. That's going to give you a lot of protection. So when you look at the ingredient list.
And that's marked clearly, right?
It's
I don't
marked.
need to have a
Well, let's see.
PhD.
No.
Let's see here.
Yeah, so here's
I believe
our
this
zinc
is it, the
oxide,
Aubrey,
yes.
this one is the 15 SPF, and that's the one that will have the zinc oxide in it a little
Exactly.
bit.
And that's great for kids. It's great for anybody with eczema, sensitive skin, rosacea, any kind of irritation. You don't want to use chemicals on your skin.
Okay. Saving the old scalp.
Right. People don't realize that you can get skin cancer on your scalp.
Take it from me, you can.
Golfers.
It can be horrible,
Yes.
too.
Yeah, it can really be bad. So one thing you want to do is either use a spray sunscreen, which you can just spray on the parting, or you can use a hat. And
Okay.
now there are sun protective clothing with, you know, sunscreen. You know, it actually protects your skin more than a regular hat.
And quickly before you go, should we replace our sunscreen every season? There are friends of mine who have the same sunscreen they've had for 3 years. So.
Well, you know, it's a very interesting thing. Sunscreen will last 3 years, so it could last. But if your sunscreen is out in the sun, it could also decompose. So I'm a big fan of replacing it.
Very good.
But if you're careful with your sunscreen, you could use it. But they also have expiration dates on them now.
So if you put this on the
check that
part,
out.
parting does not have to be sweet sorrow.
No, it does not. And thank you so much for teaching us how to keep our skin healthy and beautiful. Thank you, Dr. Deborah Jalaman. We appreciate it.
Important stuff. I appreciate it, too. I had second-degree burns as a kid.
You've
Ended
been
up in the hospital.
Yes, on
This
your
is
feet.
serious stuff, yeah.
Yes.